Hello everyone, and welcome back to Dragalia Foundry, a fan channel where everything Dragalia Lost can be found. 7 months later, I'm more impressed than ever with Dragalia Lost's ongoing support, events, and development, so I wanted to make this video to shine a spotlight on what makes it so special. So many people are sleeping on this amazing game, and I truly hope this video helps to change that. These are the top 10 reasons why I play Dragalia Lost. Number 10, Nintendo Magic. Dragalia Lost is an action RPG co-developed by Nintendo and Cygames, set in a world in which dragons, humans, sylvans, and other mythical and mundane beings coexist. While influenced by Cygames' past work, this game's characters, story, mechanics, and combat system are wholly original. Dragalia Lost stands on its own, but I can't deny that part of what I love is that special sauce, that Nintendo magic. The game oozes charm, its design is tight with few superfluous elements, and gacha is a minimal factor. It's also not lost on me that Nintendo helped to invent and shape touchscreen gaming back on the DS. As a longtime Nintendo fan, it's a rare treat to enjoy a brand new IP from them, and I would imagine Cygames fans feel similarly. Some people may blanketly dismiss mobile gacha games, but I urge you to reconsider that bias. The pedigree of both developers shines through in this title. It was my own love for Nintendo games that drew me into Dragalia Lost, and I'm very glad it did. Now those feelings have come full circle as we're starting to see not just Cygames characters, but Nintendo characters also cross over. I'm pumped up for the Fire Emblem Heroes collaboration this week, and for what else the future may hold. Number 9, Lore and World. If you enjoy the fantasy genre, then you may enjoy Dragalia Lost. Truth be told, the campaign's plot isn't one of the main reasons I play this game. There certainly are some exciting and unexpected moments, but a lot is what you'd expect from a JRPG. Cartoonish villains, anime tropes, and a world-ending evil. The protagonist is a bit of a Gary Stu as well, at least in the chapters we've had released so far. But what I love about Dragalia Lost is how rich the subtext is, how deep the lore and backstories of everyone and everything are, how the world's mysterious past and history of war are slowly revealed, how real-world mythology informs the game's landscape, its dragons, and their designs. And that's to say nothing of adventure stories, which are amazing, or the new event stories every few weeks. Many of these have made me laugh, and the best of them have brought me to tears. And this brings me to my next point. Number 8, writing and localization. Yes, I do think the main campaign of Dragalia Lost can be a bit hokey. That's okay though, as even if you're not interested in this, you can easily skip through scenes with a summary of the events that took place. But I will say, Dragalia is smart with how it uses its roster. Unlike in Fire Emblem Heroes, where everyone is drawn into the main plot because they're bound by contract to serve the villains, Dragalia deliberately focuses its campaign on a smaller main party, giving them all time to shine. Side characters who join our protagonist's kingdom are instead given their own 5-chapter narrative arcs, and dragons all have 2-part fables explaining their origins. The reason this all works so well is that the writing and localization of Dragalia Lost are just that good. Yes, there are some issues with the main plot, but the character vignettes and paralogs are stellar and highly varied. Don't like one event? Chances are you might enjoy the next one. The localization by 8-4 is also top-notch. These are the people who brought us Fire Emblem Echoes and Awakening, among other high-profile projects. Characters like Not, the fairy companion of our core party, have so much wit, personality, and sass that it's hard not to love them. Considering this as an original IP, the amount of attachment you quickly build toward party members is very impressive. Some of the best event stories have made me so fond of brand new adventurers that I immediately wanted to summon for them. Number 7, audio-visual presentation. Of course, part of what makes Dragalia Lost so immersive is that the visuals, music, and voice acting are on par with the terrific writing. Japanese artist Daoko is all over the game's soundtrack, and her work fits so well here. The tracks used for boss fights like Dragon Trials and Void Battles in particular are bops. The game has hands down the best music of any role-playing mobile title or gacha I've ever played. And it's not just Daoko either. One of my favorite Dragalia events was Resplendent Refrain, a raid that ran last winter. This event was focused on a choir and the struggles of a young boy who was growing up since his changing voice made it difficult to sing his parts. The story was incredibly touching, and as if that wasn't enough, the game introduced brand new musical tracks just for this event. Alongside the music, Dragalia has some highly talented voice actors. Most of the game's big stories are fully voiced in Japanese, while the English audio contains fewer voice lines, but still some unique to each adventurer. It's easy to switch between either audio version now, without a need to re-download audio files at all once you try each language once. Both versions are worth checking out. The game also has individual audio sliders for voices, effects, and music, plus a toggle for lyrics or no lyrics in songs. The amount of customization options is impressive, and that's before even getting to the visuals. The graphics of Dragalia Lost are beautiful. Your mileage may vary depending on your phone, and I'll admit older models like the iPhone 6 have some performance issues. But in general, there are a good amount of settings to optimize the game for one's own phone. I also appreciate the cohesive art style all adventurers share, yet also like how the game injects a variety of styles into its collectible cards, which are known as Wyrmprints. The 3D models all look fantastic across the board, whether you're in battle, watching your adventures in the Halidom, or viewing your dragons in the Dragon's Roost. You can get a lot of enjoyment out of Dragalia just by listening to its music and voice acting, all while admiring your collection of adventurers, Wyrmprints, and dragons. And ultimately, I think that's a very good thing. Number 6. Customizable experience. On the topic of enjoyment, another aspect of Dragalia Lost I really appreciate is how many ways there are to have fun with this game. In working on this channel and our Dragalia family Discord server, I've come to realize people with vastly different goals and levels of investment can equally enjoy Dragalia Lost. How much you experience and what you choose to do is up to you. The game nudges you to complete new content using time-limited endeavors, but many harder quests and rewards can be completed at your convenience. Don't want to try the High Dragon Trials? Well, you don't have to. Want that challenge and the rewards that come alongside it, like new dragons and facilities? Then time to test your mettle. Either way, there really is no right or wrong way to play this game. It's a game, not a job. Even if all you do in Dragalia Lost is collect your login bonuses and summon every so often for characters who look appealing to you, it's still a good time. Because there's no PvP component, there's also less of a rat race to have the best characters or the highest stats. Instead of focusing on what's optimal, players have the luxury to build who they want to use and try bring those units to their max potential. This is especially true since, starting with an update on April 25th, Wyrmprint progression will be completely non-random, removed from the gacha. That means you're completely free to choose both your weapons and your Wyrmprints and builds. There have even been special paid summons like the Dream Summon, which let you pick one unit from almost all dragons and adventurers for a low price. And there are also universal unbinding materials, which basically let you add merges to any equipment you already have. All of this together makes for a neat sandbox where you can focus on adventurers who you actually like. Number 5. Rewarding mechanics. I mentioned the Wyrmprints, dragons, and weapons, and these are the equipment you use to outfit your adventures in Dragalia Lost. Besides selecting gear, of course, there are other layers of strategy when planning for battle. Which adventurers are the preferred element for the fight at hand? Who has the right resistance to that quest's status afflictions? Who synergizes best with your AI or human team? If you like to think strategically and enjoy working toward fulfilling your team or character ideas, you'll probably enjoy Dragalia Lost. Besides enhancing and equipping adventurer teams, of course, there are other long-term decisions to make. Which powerful 5-star weapon do you want to save up toward? Which facilities do you want to prioritize in your castle? Which dragons do you give gifts to, bond with, and level up first? The overall number of systems is manageable, yet each of those systems is satisfyingly robust. And that's all before we get into the action RPG combat, which is a huge draw for a mobile gacha title. Don't get me wrong, I love turn-based and tactics games, and am even okay with bullet hell shmups. So I was unsure of whether I would like Dragalia's action-oriented battles, where basic attacks involve taps, movement is swipes or drags, and skills are activated through on-screen buttons. Yet I was floored with how snappy Dragalia Lost feels to play, and how demanding and interesting its quests can be because of this. It's cliche, but the game is crunchy and fluid. As you master it, Dragalia becomes a visual spectacle. Each quest unfolds as a tight sequence of skills, combos, and clutch dodges, resulting in ultimate victory. When you succeed in harder fights, you feel the influence of your own abilities and practice. And as you play, you can notice yourself subtly improving, independent of your adventure and equipment stats. Number 4. Cooperative gameplay. Earlier, I said how the lack of PvP in Dragalia Lost helps to prevent a scramble for the strongest units and their optimal builds. But this point is worth elaborating on. Yes, Dragalia lacks any competitive modes. For some people, this may be a turnoff. But what Dragalia has instead more than compensates in my view. Dragalia is solely focused on player cooperation and real-time cooperative gameplay in general. Think of Monster Hunter or of raids in your favorite MMORPG, and that's what Dragalia Lost delivers in bite-sized battles that are perfect for mobile. If you like teaming up for PvE, then Dragalia may be for you. Easier fights in Dragalia Lost can be taken on in single player, and eventually even auto-battled at up to 2 times speed. This itself is entertaining, and you can swap among any of your 4 party members instantly whenever you wish. But in co-op, especially for harder quests, battles become a coordinated effort to survive and fell your foes. Raids allow all players to bring 4 party members into the fray, resulting in a 16 versus 1 clash where you have to attack different weak points on a giant boss. But even standard quests involve a lot of teamwork, with emote stickers used to communicate in battle. Matchmaking has been improved since Dragalia Lost launch, and the use of stickers instead of voice or text chat is endearing, harkening back to Nintendo sleepers like Triforce Heroes. You'll rarely find people who are unsportsmanlike, but even so, there are limits to how far this can go with an innocuous emote system. On the whole, I found little to no toxicity in co-op rooms whatsoever. You'll need a stable internet connection due to the real-time interaction, and there are slight load times for co-op, but in the vast majority of my matches, I've also experienced basically no lag or latency. Co-op as a whole was revelatory to me and made me wonder why more games don't do it like Dragalia Lost. Even as someone who normally shies away from online multiplayer, I really love this. Maybe you will too. Number 3. Wholesome community. Perhaps it's the co-op nature of Dragalia Lost, or maybe we've just lucked out with who chooses to play it. But I have to say, Dragalia Lost has one of the most positive and wholesome communities I've ever been a part of. As with any gacha, there will be those who are salty about not summoning their precious waifu or husbando, and like with any co-op game, some folks will be upset after losing a close battle due to a teammate's mistake. It's understandable, and I wouldn't pass judgment on those who feel this way, but this is definitely the exception and not the rule. The maturity and class, the optimism and gratitude, and overall good vibes from the Dragalia fandom have surpassed even my wildest expectations. The Reddit community is vibrant, and few if any people are bitter, a welcome change for some other gachas. Most other content creators I've seen seem to have a positive outlook. There's an avid fan art scene on Twitter, Discord, and elsewhere. People share stories of the helpful allies they encounter in co-op at random, only to reunite with those people after posting. It's genuinely heartwarming stuff. And if you're wondering why the players are so happy, well... Number 2. Responsive developers. Yes, this is a huge reason why I think Dragalia Lost has had such a successful run so far and earned the fanbase it has. Whoever is responsible, Cygames, Nintendo, or director Matsura, Dragalia Lost has done an admirable job of listening and adapting to player feedback. Some of the changes implemented since launch are things I could have never seen happening a priori, since they seemed so pro-consumer. Yet just this week, Dragalia will be removing Wyrmprints from the summoning pool, as well as lowering the cost to summon from 1,500 to 1,200 Wyrmite per 10-fold pull. The Wyrmprint change had been a sticking point for some players since launch, with gradual steps made to correct it over time. It's these changes, big and small, that inspire confidence that the team behind Dragalia Lost knows how to run their game. Concerns are addressed for the most part fairly quickly. Compensation accompanies unexpected changes, and UI fixes are introduced that players may not even realize they wanted. In the months since Dragalia Lost launched, we've repeatedly seen the devs present update roadmaps and follow through big time. Many community suggestions have been implemented. For example, we can now set co-op room conditions, and have a spectator camera and a continue option after dying in co-op. We have a maximum of 12 co-op wings instead of 6, and we can either host or join rooms with them. The AI is now smarter than at launch, being able to open treasure chests and use skills, plus auto battle and normal gameplay can both be done at up to twice the speed. Bows and lances received a global buff to their weapon type, and other underpowered adventurers like Hawk, Nefaria, and Naveed have gotten personal buffs. Our rupee and mana income has improved, and we now have a proper treasure trade, with quick access for very common materials, and with long-term goals like rare items earned via void battles each month. Those same void battles, along with a High Dragon prelude and the new void weapons, were also introduced to bridge the difficulty gap between Imperial Onslaught and High Dragons, and it's working out pretty well so far. I could go on and on with the amount of small and large tweaks the Dragalia dev team has made since the game released, but suffice to say, the end result is an extremely polished game. There are still some bugs, and that can be an issue depending on your device. But if you've followed the community since the game released, you'll recognize that many of the changes I just mentioned were frequent topics of conversation or concern for players. The team behind the game heard us and continues to hear us. It's that responsiveness to feedback that gives me confidence in Dragalia Lost and makes me want to support it so much. That, and of course, my final point. Number 1, free-to-play friendliness. Yes, despite what you may have heard, Dragalia Lost is an extremely free-to-play friendly game. Summoning currency is given out regularly, and the free units obtained through the campaign and raid events are often very good. Since there is no PvP and there's co-op instead, players who do spend money to speed up their adventurer's growth are helpful to others rather than hurtful, as they can carry the load in multiplayer. And that's basically the primary point to spending in Dragalia Lost, speeding up progress and growth. Sure, it's possible to buy a premium summoning currency and spend it all chasing a brand new character, but the best value in Dragalia Lost are its guaranteed packs. Monthly, these include opportunities for a daily stamina and wing refresh, plus unbinding items for weapons, Wyrmprints, and dragons, which are basically wildcard upgrade materials that can boost any of the corresponding gear by one stage. Essentially though, these are all means to power up characters earlier or see bigger numbers faster. There's no need for them unless you wish to play more or you want to see your unit fully built sooner. Just about everything that can be purchased can be obtained through in-game events as time passes. When I decided to make my first purchase in Dragalia this January, it wasn't out of a sense of obligation to keep up with the metagame, or because I felt that what I had been given for free wasn't cutting it. It was actually because of how generous and well handled the game had already been that I felt comfortable spending. Since day one, I've spent a total of $18 in 6 months, basically a cup of coffee every month. That money let me summon 42 times, got me a 5-star dragon unbinding, and a 5-star character of my choice. And crucially, no content was prohibited by my purchasing decisions or lack thereof. All content in the game has been cleared by players who have never even summoned at all, let alone spent money to do so. So if you're interested but worried about the gacha, don't be. There's technically no need to pull at all. And if you do decide to spend some money on Dragalia Lost, know that just a little can go a long way. Alright, and that about does it for my list. These are the top 10 reasons why I played Dragalia Lost, but what are your reasons for playing? I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. And if you're coming across my channel or this game for the first time, I'd love to hear from you too. Do you plan on trying Dragalia Lost? Tried it and it wasn't for you? What would you like to see improved or changed? I think that's an equally important part of the conversation, especially given how responsive the dev team has been so far. So, good or bad, let me know. Otherwise, everyone, thank you so much for watching, take care, and I'll see you next time.